Thank you. I'm just saying, like, if you're a teacher and you can't bring some intelligence to the Holocaust or help us understand why so many people and each other's people, then you have no business teaching children anything, right? Maybe it just is a business. It's just your job. And it was everyone's job to go kill each other too. So maybe we should trust the people who don't have jobs. They have obligations. And people who have jobs who have obligations. But people who don't have jobs have obligations. And people who have jobs have obligations that are, before and throughout their jobs. Even if your job fires you, you still have obligations. Right? And all your obligations are connected to all your occupations. Right? You get fired from your job, you go home, you work out, you sleep, you do this, you feel bad, you talk to someone, you start applying for new work. You're still working, right? It takes work to get a job. You're always working, right? You learn to pole vault, that's work. Maybe one day someone pays you to make pole vaulting ads. You're like, wow, all that pole vaulting really came out to something. That's work. What you put into your life could really generate something for you someday. So everything I do, I think, hey, I want to generate money for my mom. That's what I want to do. I really get a hit out of that. I don't want to generate it just for myself. I understand that in moving ahead in my career, I have to do something that absolutely makes my mom and my father happy and safer and better in the world. So that feels really positive to me. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm really enthused by that. Okay? Woo! Okay, now I'll say something on camera that I said to my mom. I was very honest, and it's hard to be honest. It's hard to say how you really feel because as I grew up, I was shy and I was really ashamed of myself. More than just like the feeling of shame, but like that part of you that just is paralyzed by the unwillingness to even start thinking about what you would say to people if they asked you why you didn't like working. Really ask her, come on, I just want to know. And when I was 18, I went to a local college, so I didn't really leave home, okay? I didn't want to. And then my enthusiasms for science led me to get a scholarship in a university on Vancouver Island, and so that's home, okay? I did not work, okay? Part of the reason you'd say I'm giving excuses, but just put it in a category, right? I know we all overcome do things, but I'm already prefacing it by saying that this is why I don't work, or I didn't learn to think about work. So that's what I'm talking about. That's where we're going. So if you have trouble with that, if it doesn't seem like it's useful, if it seems like I should make it at least useful to people who, want to be generating or continue generating money, then yeah, you're right to feel that way. But I'm not I'm not an expert on employment. I'm not an inspirational guru. Okay? I'm trying to just give an account. It's not complete. It may not be sufficiently entertaining. It might not be useful. It may suck. It may look like a complete pussy. It may make you feel like a complete pussy. I don't know. But I left school, and a series of things that happened. The happiest thing was the day my mom drove up. I told her that to pick me up and take me home. And then the worst day of my life, I got home. And I could feel utterly that my home was not a home anymore. When I had left, my dad had essentially, you're 19, that's it, you're done. You want to stay here, you're treated like a second-class citizen, no matter what, whether you have a job or not. And I tested. It didn't matter what I did, as long as I was under my dad's roof at that point. I could be abused, I could be humiliated, I could be sexually harassed, anything, didn't matter. In fact, it did before I left school, okay? He was always there. My dad was physically abused child, sexually abused, okay? And I've met men who've had this happen. It leaves a problem in the brain, okay? That never gets diagnosed. And these types of people, this type of brain problem is just like a schizoid problem. They say in the psychiatry books that schizophrenics usually diagnose themselves. No, neurotic people usually think they're schizophrenic. Okay, the last person who's going to be a real schizoid, or at least as much as most people, is someone who thinks they might be crazy or schizoid, and can take that far enough to say, you know what? everyone experiences persuasive influences from a very twisted reality, which, almost becomes meaningless to say that people are schizoids, because what you're really saying is that people living in a world, as anyone admits it to be in such and such terms, are going to show some artifacts of going to extraordinary lengths to accommodate the real world, right? So you could put it in different terms. It really depends on whether or not you think that's the way things should be, the way you think someone's being harmed. When you look at the nature of violence, there's always groups and a twisted reality, the cost of which is projected onto the scapegoat to make everyone feel better. And they almost always get away with it, okay? I was in a Qigong cult, and I started getting verbally abused by a number of students and staff. I started having things stolen, right? It was clear that the energy that should be preserved by the leader, who was a friend of mine with whom I was living as a roommate, should be preserved. When you're around people who are scapegoating you, your energy field is disintegrating and bad things start to happen to you. My shoulder dislocated. This was after she raped me. This is after she came into my room one night and started sucking my dick until I came in her mouth. I was half asleep when she started. An erection is not consent, right? That's rape. And it gets weirder after that. It got weirder before that. So just understand where I'm coming from. These are real things. These are remarkably violent things. And thank your lucky stars, you don't have to be around these people who put themselves out in the world, quite sincerely, as spiritual healers and connected to ultimate love, right? Dealing with their lives, right? They're schizoids. They'll never be diagnosed with anything, right? But the scapegoat, the victim, will know something is wrong. These same people will treat you and share energy to insinuate that something is wrong with you. Oh, something's wrong with you, right? And when something's wrong with you, people lower their inhibitions about how they treat you. What's wrong with you, right? When really something is wrong with them. And so people would just develop very negative feelings toward me. They would say these public, passive-aggressive things, which, unsolicited advice is passive-aggressive. It's unsolicited advice. It's aggressive. It's passive-aggressive only because it's so acutely violent and it's so easy to get away with it. You're like, what? Right? You should do this. Or you are this kind of person, which is, quote, not okay. And it's a term because it's part of the healing journey to know that some people have this kind of problem. Right? What is it about you that makes us not like you so much? Right? Now, I've not liked people for some uncanny reason. And I've thought about it, and I've stunned myself sometimes. How I could be insecure and project a lot of dislike. It's only happened a few times in my life. It happens a lot when I watch movies and TV shows, right? Because everyone is so cool. It makes you feel like shit. And you don't realize that the whole point of these shows is to make you feel small. And having that reaction is completely natural. In fact, it's the strange thing is the people that don't feel bad watching TV, because it's supposed to make you feel bad. But you forget that it's doing that. Right? Everyone there is making you feel bad. The bad things that happen to them, the smiles pasted to their faces, the incredible caliber of their acting. On some level, you must wish, I wish I could act as well as they did. And then I would be happy if I spoke the language of the theater and fame and fortune. Hello, Beatrice. Hello, Bethany. Yes, I have a role this week on Broadway. I'm going to play Caligula and Cleopatra in the same body. Yes, we don't talk about money around here. Let's face it, we've all got gobs. Those poor people, they should just pick better lottery tickets. What do you think about Epstein and the rights of man? Yeah, me too. Very funny. You see, I've gone to colleges and someone will talk and someone will point. I was like, oh, what about Faust? And they pick all these characters and these philosophies that their education is drenched in, right? But they mean nothing. They mean so much more than they think they do. They mean that you are nothing. Right? The universe is meant to make you feel small. Just the temperature. I really can't answer. You're fucking evil. Sorry. And the sun has been covered up for many days now. Very little sun. 2 minutes yesterday, and I noticed no one around me was really looking up at the sun in Qualicum. I mean, we haven't seen very much of it. You'd think anyone else would be standing there with a sun, but they're not. Because they're not beings anymore. They're not part of the ecosystem, or the ecosystem is not to do with the ecosystem. The ecosystem you're a part of isn't connected to the earth. It's like you're walking above it. All your townships are part of a banking system that is constantly invading the land. It doesn't belong here, right? It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be an irritant. All enterprise is supposed to irritate the local population and the local environment. All business is meant to put out evil. The sounds of business, the sounds of cars, the sounds of people, the languages are meant to make you feel bad and make you feel sick. The advertising, the music, the movies, the TV, the reasons your parents leave you at daycare to total crazy people, it's all meant to make you traumatized. It's all meant to induce primal shock. It's all meant to induce primal shock. And to use it, right? To put it to good use. And to get you to put it to good use. To put yourself to good use after you've been orphaned. So in the Bible, for instance, Paul is what? A tax collector. He is, right? He is the police. The police are tax collectors for the bank. Right? That's what they do. They're tax collectors. If you want to understand why the police the way they are, they're like Paul in the Bible. They rough people up. They're like the early Islamites, right? They would get all their money by robbing Christians and Jews. This is back in the so-called 6th century, which was really of the first 600 years of the rule of man, the dominion, the Anno Dominion, the dominion of death, A.D. The Mona Lisa means money. Isa is the star. Sirius is also the letter I. Isa. The Mona Lisa means money. To this day, it is the most expensive painting to insure. It's around $1 million to $1 billion for some paint and a canvas, right? Would you pay that for paint? $800 million? Oh yeah, $800 million. That makes sense. In England, and notice the gender is skewed for a reason. They made up the Renaissance. They made up Greece. They made up Egypt. They are all a myth. That's why people talk about Greek myth, because ancient Greece is a myth. The Sphinx doesn't have a nose because it's all a lie. Right? The pyramids were unearthed and created by Masons maybe 200 years ago, 1800s. And they created a legendary backstory of these empires. They only exist in your textbooks. Just like cavemen and dinosaurs only exist in your mind, like outer space. And they own your mind. They own all these ethereal realms. Right? We're living in heaven's womb. Everyone goes to heaven. No one is born from death, and nobody dies from birth. And that itself speaks against the world. It speaks against the financial enterprises of the world. It doesn't mean you can't get some for yourself and purify and launder that money, but you're also laundering the evil of money. You're laundering their lies by choosing to accept them. so that you can quite innocently say to your children, oh yes, there's outer space and the sun is 93 million miles away. It runs off nuclear energy and a galaxy is this far away. It has millions of stars. And there may be other planets out there and we finally kill this one or it kills us or one of the two. Or we kill each other. There's nothing really coherent about that. It's not reality other than that reality means royalty and fealty to royalty. Fealty to Rhea, the mother of the gods. Again, Olympian myth. The mother of the gods is the royal family. The creator. They use the word mother because the mother is the ultimate creator in a sense. The Eve of the world. That's Rhea of religion, the rays of the sun. Daya, Rhea. Because everything is her language and it's all shit. Okay, let's go. I can hear a lot of those geese. Coming around, coming around. I can hear the geese coming around. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where to take all of this. You know, like I said, I want to generate money for my mom and my dad. I want to find a pure way of living in this world, and I want to continue to expand thoughts that I feel I need to have about what I think it takes to, not to be this person in the world or to be like you or your family, but to be what I can be and take a huge risk. Like where does someone like me end up? You know? Is this just where I've ended up, or is this a valid occupation? It's a big question. Okay, I'm getting a lot of exercise every day. This is the last chance to take a crap for a while, so for 45 minutes to an hour, so let's get her done. Let's do it. I don't really use my sex energy at all. I just really gets turned off almost completely. I don't mind. Like, because of my life when I can just not really have to worry about sex or energy. I don't really get erections anymore. I don't want to. I'm not impotent. There's nothing and no one that could possibly arouse me. So it's just better just to get over the fear that this, you need to kind of like whack off for no particular reason. Because nobody really makes you want to. There's nothing here to whack off about. I should write the brochures for Parksville. Nothing here to whack off about. There really isn't. I don't ever see an attractive female around here. They don't live around here. And it's not just that they're not physically attractive. They're not mentally, emotionally, in any way attractive. Most people don't think about these things. They just don't think about it. And it's okay. Like, is it torture? Maybe it's more torture for me. These are things I picked up along the way. The stars, the galaxies, all this. Astronomy is ass-tor money. Ass-tor money. Astro money, which is star money, money from the stars. In every sense. But also, ass is a pejorative of the sun, and tor is a bull that is tortured. Ass-tor money. Ass-tor Mona Lisa. Right? To bold to go where no man has gone before, because the only one going there is no man. Right? Right? Nothing and no one. Because you're considered a pest by the USGS. So it's like to get into these laws, these magic, this stuff, how they put out bad energy about gender, whatever gender you are, the fundamental relationships of things in terms of mutual annihilation, the day to the night, the mother or the father to the child, life or so-called death. Death is the prison people live in. Death is the prison of man. That is death. Man has created death because man lives in a prison. These languages, these myths imprison us. They created Egypt, alchemy. Don't know if you knew that. Right? Alchemy is the divine science, which is divine order and kill. Right? When psychics divine things about you, they're usually insulting you. They're listening to a spirit, I'll often say, who has things to say to you that make you feel sick. They're just using their words. But they're convinced because they have an opposite way of thinking and listening. So whatever you use, they will hear it the opposite of what you mean. Okay? Because their minds are divided, opposed against themselves. You can still get useful information, but you're doing all the work to extract it from whatever they're saying to you. Go to any psychic. You're the one creating the meaning. They really do talk out of their asses. Like psychiatrists. I talk to a psychic, you just make it up as you go along. Just feel the spirit. Get into the spirit of it all. Now, who tells people to get in the spirit of giving other people unsolicited advice that can be about any and every intimate thing about themselves, their health, and their family? Right? Who hears the opposite of what people say? Have you ever been around someone? If someone doesn't hear what you say or hears the opposite of what you say, chances are they're an extremely hostile person in a hostile state of mind. Even if they're, and sometimes behaving very coolly and calmly, they're actually in a very hostile state of mind. That's just what they've learned to do. Some people don't show emotion when they're angry. They just know how to corner people, and they don't hear anything other than what they want to hear. Does that make sense? Let's get some confidence about jumping across here.